The massive alien ship floated in the dark space near Earth's moon. It was bigger than any human building, with strange curves and glowing parts that pulsed like a heartbeat. Inside the ship, 12 different alien species sat around a large table made of some kind of crystal that changed colors. Ambassador Krell looked like a tall lizard with 4 arms and purple skin. He was the leader of this group, and he felt nervous. This was their first time meeting humans, and he had heard strange stories about them. Other aliens said humans were different, but nobody could explain how. "Are you sure about this?" asked Commander Vex. He looked like a giant insect with sharp claws and red eyes. His people, the Talon Republic, were famous fighters. They had been at war with someone for the last 300 years. "The reports are clear," said General Zara. She was made of living metal, and her voice sounded like grinding gears. "The humans have space travel. They have colonies on other planets. But they have no war fleets, no battle stations. How is this possible?" War Chief Nexus laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. His people were called the Void Hunters, and they lived for battle. "Maybe they are cowards. This will be easy for us." Ambassador Krell raised one of his 4 hands. "We must be careful." The humans agreed to meet us very quickly. Too quickly. Most species take months to decide about first contact. The humans said yes in just 2 hours. Captain Lisa Martinez sat in the command center of Earth's space station. She was a small woman with short black hair and calm brown eyes. She had been expecting this day for a long time. Earth's radio telescopes had been picking up alien signals for years. "Captain, we're getting another message from the alien ship," said Lieutenant Ben Cooper. He was young and excited. This was the biggest thing that had ever happened. Lisa nodded. "Put it through." The alien voice was strange, like it was being translated by a computer. "Earthship, this is Ambassador Krell of the Galactic Council. We request permission to begin first contact protocols." Lisa smiled. "Tell them we're sending a ship now." Lieutenant Cooper looked surprised. "Just like that? Shouldn't we call the president? The military?" "We already did," Lisa said. "They said to handle it the usual way." "What's the usual way for?" "Meeting aliens? The same way we handle meeting anyone new. Be polite and bring gifts." 2 hours later, a small Earth transport ship flew toward the alien vessel. It was not a warship. It had no weapons or armor. It looked like a delivery truck. With rocket engines docked inside the transport ship, Dr. Kevin Johnson checked his bag one more time. He was a language teacher at a university, and he had volunteered for this job. Next to him sat Maria Santos, who studied different cultures, and Alex Turner, who understood physics and space travel. "I still can't believe they picked us," Maria said. She was nervous, but excited. First contact with aliens, and they send 3 college teachers. Alex laughed. "Better than sending soldiers." "We want to make friends, not enemies," Dr. Johnson nodded. "Besides, if they wanted to hurt us, there's not much we could do about it. Their ship could destroy our entire planet. So we might as well be friendly." The transport ship docked with the alien vessel. The 3 humans walked through an airlock into a corridor that glowed with soft blue light. Strange smells filled the air, like flowers mixed with metal. Ambassador Krell met them at the entrance. He towered over the humans, but he tried to look friendly. Behind him stood the other alien representatives, all watching the humans carefully. "Welcome," Krell said. His voice came through a small device that translated his words. "I am Ambassador Krell. We are honored to meet your species." "Doctor." Johnson stepped forward and smiled. "Thank you for having us. I'm Kevin Johnson. This is Maria Santos and Alex Turner. We brought some gifts from Earth." The humans opened their bags and pulled out coffee, chocolate, and small music players. The aliens looked confused. They had expected weapons or technology or maps of human territory. These are foods from our planet, Maria explained. And this music represents our culture. General Zara's metal face showed confusion. Where were the human warriors? Where were their weapons? She had prepared for military negotiations. Not a cultural exchange. Commander Vex stepped forward, his claws clicking on the floor. Where are your soldiers? Your battle fleet? How do you defend your territory? Dr. Johnson looked puzzled by the question. Defend it from what? From invasion, from conquest, from other species who want to take your resources. Oh, Dr. Johnson sighed, understanding now. We don't really have that problem anymore. What do you mean? Asked War Chief Nexus. His people had been fighting wars for so long that peace seemed impossible. We don't fight wars, Dr. Johnson said simply. We solve problems instead. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. No species in the galaxy had ever said anything like this. War was natural. War was necessary. War was how things got done. You must fight sometimes, insisted Commander Vex. All species fight. It's how we survive. Maria shook her head. We used to fight. A long time ago, we fought all the time. We almost destroyed ourselves. But then we learned something better. What could be better than victory in battle? Asked War Chief Nexus. Alex smiled. Fixing the problem that caused the battle in the Elsizure. First place. Ambassador Krell felt a strange feeling in his stomach. These humans were either very wise or very foolish. He could not tell which. Perhaps, Krell said carefully, you could explain this to the Galactic Council. We have many problems. That needs solving. Dr. Johnson's eyes lit up. We'd love to help. What kind of problems do you have? And for the first time in 1,000 years, the representatives of the Galactic Council found themselves talking about solutions instead of strategies, about building instead of destroying, about hope instead of conquest. The humans had been in the room for less than an hour, and already everything was different. After the humans left the alien ship, the Galactic Council members sat in silence for a long time. They had never met a species like this before. Every other race in the galaxy followed the same basic rules of survival. Fight or be conquered. Take or be taken from. Win or lose. Ambassador Krell looked around the table at his fellow council members. Each one represented thousands of years of military tradition. The Zephyrians had their honor guards. The Talon Republic had their warrior. Clans. The Iron Collective had their battle machines. Even the smallest species had armies and weapons. This makes no sense, said General Zara, her metal fingers tapping on the crystal table. A species cannot survive in space without military power. How did they build colonies? How did they explore new worlds? How did they protect themselves? From pirates and raiders? Commander Vex clicked his claws nervously. Maybe they are lying. Maybe they have hidden weapons. Secret fleets. No one abandons war completely. War Chief Nexus growled deep in his throat. Or maybe they are just weak. Easy prey. My hunters could take their entire planet in a few days. Ambassador Krell held up a hand for silence. We must be careful. I have been studying the reports from our scouts. The humans have been in space for only 200 years, but they have built more colonies than species that have been traveling the stars for thousands of years. How is that possible without conquest? Asked Captain Oros of the Crystal Empire. Her people were made of living gems that changed color with their emotions. Right now, she was purple with confusion. According to our data, they asked for permission before settling on new worlds. If someone already lives there, they make agreements. They trade knowledge and resources instead of taking them by force. The council members looked at each other in amazement. This was the strangest thing they had ever heard. far across the galaxy. General Zara's home fleet received her encrypted message. The Iron Collective controlled 12 star systems through pure military might. Their ships were the strongest in known space. Their robots fought without fear or mercy. Admiral Steele read the message twice before believing it. Humans with no military, colonies with no defenses, wealth with no guards. Prepare the third battle group. Admiral Steele ordered his robot officers. We will test these humans. If they are truly defenseless, we will add their worlds to our territory. The Iron Collective had been expanding their empire for 300 years. They took what they wanted and destroyed anyone who resisted. It was simple. It was efficient. It worked. In another part of the galaxy. War Chief Nexus sent word too. His hunting fleets. The Void Hunters lived on ships that moved between the stars. They had no home world because they had destroyed it in their endless wars. Now they survived by raiding other species. New prey, Nexus told his captains through the warnet. Soft targets. Rich worlds. No weapons. The great hunt begins again. His hunters howled with joy. It had been months since their last good raid. Their ships needed supplies. Their warriors needed glory. The humans would provide both. On Earth, President Jake Davis sat in his office, reading reports about the alien meeting. His advisors filled the room, all talking at once about the implications of first contact. We need to increase military spending, argued General Scott Williams. If there are hostile aliens out there, we need to be ready. No, said Secretary of Defense Amy Walker. That would send the wrong message. We just told them we don't fight wars. If we start building weapons now, they'll think we lied. Dr. Peter Kim, the chief science advisor, looked up from his tablet. According to the linguistic analysis of their languages, 17 different alien species have words for eternal war, but none of them have words for permanent peace. They literally cannot imagine a world without conflict. That's terrible, said Dr. Rachel Green, Earth's expert on alien life. They've been fighting the same wars for thousands of years. Different sides, same problems. They never actually solve anything. President Davis rubbed his temples. He felt a headache coming on. So you're telling me that the entire galaxy operates like Earth did during our worst periods? Constant warfare, arms races, territorial disputes? Worse, Dr. Green replied. At least we eventually learned to stop. They never have. Some of these species have been at war with each other since before humans developed agriculture. Amy Walker shook her head in disbelief. No wonder they seemed so confused when Kevin told them we solve problems instead of fighting about them. They probably don't even know what that means. Back on the Galactic Council ship, Ambassador Krell received troubling news. His scouts reported unusual fleet movements throughout the galaxy. The Iron Collective was moving battle groups toward human space. The Void Hunters were gathering their raiding ships. Even some of the smaller military powers were preparing for action. The news of defenseless humans had spread quickly through the galactic military networks. Every species with ships and weapons was looking at human colonies and seeing easy targets. Krell felt something he had never experienced before. The Zephyrians had a word for it, but no human language could translate it properly. It was the feeling of watching someone innocent walk into terrible danger. He sent an emergency message to Earth, but he knew it might already be too late. The humans had no idea what was coming. They had lived in their peaceful solar system for so long that they had forgotten what the rest of the universe was like. In the cold darkness between the stars, dozens of alien war fleets began moving toward human space. Each commander expected an easy victory. Each species planned to claim human worlds for themselves. None of them understood what they were really about to encounter. The humans had said they didn't fight wars anymore, But the aliens thought this meant humans had forgotten how to fight. They were about to learn the difference between giving up war and growing beyond it. The first attack came at New Texas, a human farming colony on the edge of known space. The Void Hunter fleet dropped out of hyperspace like angry wasps, their dark ships bristling with weapons. War Chief Nexus expected to see defense platforms, military bases, and fleeing civilian ships. Instead, he saw farms, lots of farms. Green fields stretched across the planet's surface like a peaceful blanket. Small towns dotted the landscape. There were no weapons pointed at the sky, no shields protecting the settlements, no military vessels rising to meet his fleet. "This is too easy," growled Captain Razor, Nexus's second in command. "Where are their defenses?" "Maybe they ran away," suggested another hunter. "Cowards always run when real warriors arrive." Nexus studied the planet through his ship's sensors. He could see humans working in their fields, children playing in parks, families eating dinner together. They acted like they had no idea a war fleet was hanging over their heads. "Send the demand," Nexus ordered. "Tell them to surrender or we will destroy their cities." The message went down to the planet's surface. The humans received it in their communication center, a small building that looked more like a library than a military command post. Administrator Dan Miller read the message twice. He was a big man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had been running New Texas for 15 years, and he had never seen anything like this. "Huh," Dan said to his assistant, Mary Johnson. "These Void Hunters want us to surrender." Mary looked worried. "Shouldn't we call for help? Contact Earth Defense?" Dan shook his head. "They're too far away. Besides, these aliens sound angry about something. Maybe we can help them figure out what's wrong." Mary stared at him. "Dan, they're threatening to destroy our cities." "I know," Dan said calmly. "But threatening usually means they're scared or desperate. Let's find out what they need." He sent a message back to the Void Hunter fleet. "War Chief Nexus, this is Dan Miller. We received your message. Instead of surrendering, how about you? Come down for dinner? We're having a barbecue tonight, and there's plenty of food." On the Void Hunter flagship, the bridge fell silent. Nobody had ever responded to a conquest demand by offering food. The hunters looked at each other in confusion. "It must be a trap," Captain Razor said. "They're trying to trick us." "Or maybe they're crazy," suggested another hunter. Nexus studied the message. In his long life of raiding and conquest, he had seen every kind of response to threats. Fear, anger, defiance, surrender. But never an invitation to dinner. "Prepare a landing party," Nexus ordered. "We'll go down and see what these humans are planning." 2 hours later, 3 Void Hunter ships landed in the main square of New Texas's capital city. The hunters emerged wearing full battle armor and carrying heavy weapons. They expected to find cowering civilians or hidden soldiers. Instead, they found picnic tables. Lots of picnic tables. The entire town had gathered for an outdoor feast. Humans of all ages sat around eating grilled food and talking happily. Children ran between the tables playing games. Dan Miller walked up to the hunters with a big smile. "War Chief Nexus, I presume? Welcome to New Texas. I'm Dan Miller, and this is our monthly community barbecue." Nexus towered over the human, his battle armor gleaming in the setting sun. "We came here to conquer your world, not to eat your food." "I figured," Dan said cheerfully. "But conquering is hard work, and you probably haven't had a good meal in a while. Why don't you sit down and tell us what's bothering you?" The other hunters looked at their leader, waiting for orders. This was not how raids were supposed to go. Where was the violence? Where was the fear? Captain Razor stepped forward, his weapon ready. "We are the Void Hunters. We take what we want. We destroy what we don't need. We have no time for your games. A human woman approached them carrying a plate of food. She was Carol White, New Texas's chief engineer. You must be exhausted, she said to Captain Razor. Flying through space in those cramped ships. Here, try some of our local beef. It's really good. Razor stared at the offered food. When was the last time someone had offered him something without expecting payment or surrender? He couldn't remember. Sit, Dan said gently. Tell us about your problems. Maybe we can help. Against his better judgment, Nexus found himself sitting at a picnic table. The other hunters followed his example, though they kept their weapons close. The humans brought them food and drinks and asked them questions about their travels. So, you live on ships? Asked Carol White. That must be difficult. How do you grow food? Where do you get fresh water? Captain Razor found himself answering. We take what we need from the worlds we raid. Food, water, supplies. It's not easy. Why don't you just settle down somewhere? Asked a human child. Build farms like we did? We have no home world, Razor explained. Our people destroyed it long ago in our wars. Now we wander the stars, taking from others to survive. Carol. White pulled out a tablet and started making notes. What about asteroid mining? You could extract resources from dead rocks instead of taking them from living worlds. I could show you how to build the equipment. As the evening went on, the Void Hunters found themselves talking about problems they had never discussed before. Resource shortages, overcrowding on their ships, the constant stress of raiding just to survive. The humans listened carefully and offered solutions. Better ship designs, more efficient resource processing, ways to find uninhabited worlds suitable for settlement. By midnight, Captain Razor was working with Carol White to design a new type of harvesting ship. Nexus was discussing agricultural techniques with Dan Miller. The other hunters were learning about renewable energy from human engineers. This is wrong, Razor said suddenly. We came here to conquer, to take your resources, to prove our strength. Carol White looked up from her diagrams. Why? You can have everything you need without hurting anyone. We can teach you how to build. It's yourself. But we are warriors, Razor protested. Fighting is what we do. It's who we are. You're problem solvers, Carol corrected. Look at what you've accomplished tonight. You've solved 3 major resource problems that have been bothering your people for years. That takes the same skills as warfare. Strategy, planning, leadership. You just pointed them in a different direction. The next morning, the Void Hunter fleet prepared to leave New Texas. But instead of flying away with stolen goods, they carried something else. Blueprints for mining equipment, farming techniques, and most importantly, a completely new way of thinking about survival. Word of the New Texas incident spread quickly through the galactic communication networks. Other species planning to attack human colonies heard impossible stories about raiders becoming engineers and warriors becoming farmers. The galaxy was about to learn that humans didn't solve problems by fighting them. They solved problems by understanding them. And they were very, very good at it. The news from New Texas reached the Galactic Council like a shockwave. Ambassador Krell read the reports 3 times before he could believe them. The Void Hunters, the most feared raiders in the galaxy, had not conquered the human colony. Instead, they had asked for engineering jobs. This is impossible, declared General Zara, her metal face showing deep confusion. The Void Hunters have been raiding for centuries. They know nothing but war and taking. How did the humans change them in? One night, Commander Vex paced around the council chamber, his claws clicking on the floor. My sources say the hunters are now building mining ships instead of attack vessels. They've stopped raiding completely. This makes no sense. Captain Oroz's crystal body turned bright red with alarm. If the Void Hunters can be changed so easily, what about the rest of us? Are the humans using some kind of mind control? War Chief Nexus had not returned to the council ship. Instead, he was on New Texas, learning how to grow food in space stations. His warriors were studying engineering instead of weapon maintenance. The change frightened the other alien leaders, but the strangest reports were still coming in. The Iron Collective had sent their third battle group to test human defenses at the colony of New California. Admiral Steele expected an easy victory against defenseless farmers and miners. The Iron Collective ships arrived at New California in perfect battle formation. Their robot soldiers were ready for immediate deployment. Their weapons were charged, and targeting systems locked on the planet's cities. Admiral Steele sent the standard demand for surrender. The response came back in less than 10 minutes. Admiral Steele, this is Dr. Lisa Chong, Director of New California Research Station. We understand you're having problems with your home systems. Would you like to discuss solutions? We have some ideas that might help. Admiral Steele stared at the message in disbelief. How did these humans know about the Iron Collective's problems? Their industrial worlds were failing. Their robot factories were breaking down. Their empire was slowly falling apart, but they had kept this information secret. It's a trick, said his second-in-command, Colonel Iron. They're trying to confuse us. We should attack immediately. But Admiral Steele was curious. The Iron Collective's greatest weakness was that their technology was old and getting older. They had built their empire with machines they no longer fully understood. If the humans really had solutions, prepare a diplomatic shuttle. Admiral Steele ordered. I want to see what these humans know. Dr. Lisa Chong met the Iron Collective delegation at New California's Research Center. She was a small woman with bright eyes and an easy smile. Behind her stood a team of human scientists and engineers. Welcome, Dr. Chong said warmly. We've been studying your technology through public broadcasts and trade records. Very impressive. Engineering, but you're having efficiency problems, aren't you? Admiral Steele's robot body registered surprise. How could you know this? It's not hard to figure out, explained Dr. Chong. Your empire expanded too fast. You built everything using the same basic designs, but you never updated them. Now your systems are wearing out faster than you can replace them. She led them to a workshop where human engineers were working on what looked like Iron Collective technology, but different somehow, cleaner, more efficient. We took the liberty of improving some of your designs, Dr. Chong continued. Your robots are incredible, but they use too much power and break down too often. With a few changes, we can make them last 10 times longer. Engineer Tony Rodriguez stepped forward with a tablet full of technical drawings. Your factory systems are based on 1,000-year-old templates. We can show you how to update them without changing their basic function. Same robots, same capabilities, but much more reliable. Admiral Steele examined the designs. His computer brain processed the information quickly. These improvements would solve problems that had been plaguing the Iron Collective for decades, problems that were slowly destroying their empire. Why would you help us? Admiral Steele asked. We came here to conquer you. Dr. Chong shrugged. Because you have a problem, and we can fix it. That's what we do. Over the next week, similar scenes played out across human space. The Crystal Empire sent diplomats instead of soldiers after hearing about New Texas and New California. The Talon Republic warriors found themselves in classrooms, learning about disaster relief and emergency response. Captain Oros arrived at the human colony of New Boston, expecting to negotiate territorial boundaries. Instead, she found herself working with human geologists to solve the crystal shortages that had been driving her people to war for generations. Your crystals are beautiful, said human scientist Susan Clark, examining samples of Oros's living gem structure. But you're mining them inefficiently. You're taking the large crystals and leaving the small ones, which prevents regeneration. We need the large crystals for our technology, Oros explained, her body shifting to confused purple. But if you harvest them properly, the small crystals will grow into large ones, Susan said. You can have twice as many crystals, and they'll regrow naturally. No more scarcity. No more competition. No more wars over crystal fields. The news spread throughout the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Species that had been enemies for centuries were suddenly working together on human-designed projects. Ancient conflicts were being resolved not through conquest, but through collaboration. Ambassador Krell called an emergency session of the Galactic Council, but half the members didn't show up. They were too busy working with humans on solutions to problems that had seemed impossible just weeks before. What have the humans done to us? Demanded General Zara. 6 species have abandoned their military traditions. Their warriors are becoming ... builders. They haven't done anything to us, said a new voice. War Chief Nexus entered the council chamber, but he looked different. His armor was gone, replaced by simple work clothes. His weapons had been traded for engineering tools. Nexus, gasped Commander Vex. What happened to you? I learned something, Nexus replied calmly. For centuries, my people have been hungry, homeless, desperate. We raided because we thought it was the only way to survive. But the humans showed us better ways. Ways that don't require hurting anyone. General Zara's metal face showed anger. You were warriors, the greatest hunters in the galaxy. How could you abandon everything? I didn't abandon anything, Nexus said. I'm still using all the same skills. Strategy, leadership, resource management, quick thinking under pressure. I'm just pointing them at different targets now. Instead of hunting prey, I hunt solutions. Ambassador Krell felt something strange happening in his mind. For the first time in his long life, he began to wonder if there might be alternatives to the way things had always been done. The humans hadn't conquered anyone through force. They hadn't threatened or demanded or destroyed. Instead, they had offered something the galaxy had never seen before. They had offered hope that things could be better. And across the stars, species that had known only war for thousands of years were beginning to believe that peace might actually be possible. 6 months after first contact, the galaxy looked completely different. Where once there had been constant warfare, now there were construction projects. Former enemies worked side by side, building hospitals, schools, and research stations. First Interspecies Engineering Corps was completing its 3rd major project. What used to be War Chief Nexus now served as Project Leader Nexus, directing a team of former warriors from 6 different species. They had just finished building a massive transportation network that connected 12 previously isolated star systems. This is better than raiding, Nexus told his assistant, a former Talon Republic soldier named Keth. When we raided, we got supplies for maybe a month. When we build, we create something that helps people forever. Keth nodded, his insect-like face showing something that might have been a smile. My family back home doesn't understand. They say I've forgotten how to be a warrior. You haven't forgotten, Nexus replied. You've just learned to fight different. Enemies. Instead of fighting other people, we fight hunger, disease, and ignorance. On the space station that served as project headquarters, Human Project Manager Susan Clark reviewed the weekly reports. The transformation was happening faster than anyone had predicted. Species that had been at war for centuries were now competing to see who could solve problems most efficiently. But not everyone was happy with the changes. In the dark regions of space, the Shadow Dominion watched the galaxy's transformation with growing anger. They were the oldest military power in known space, and they had built their entire civilization on conquest and domination. "This infection must be stopped," declared Supreme Commander Void, his black armor reflecting no light. "The humans are destroying the natural order. They are making the galaxy weak." Admiral Dark nodded in agreement. "Our intelligence reports show that 17 species have abandoned their military traditions. They're sharing technology and resources instead of taking them by force. It's disgusting." The Shadow Dominion had tried to ignore the human influence, but it was spreading too quickly. Their own vassal species were asking questions about peaceful alternatives. Some had even requested to join human construction projects. "We will show the galaxy what happens to those who abandon strength," Supreme Commander Void declared. "Prepare the full battle fleet. We will destroy the human research station at Alpha Colony and remind everyone why military power matters." Alpha Colony was a joint human-alien research station where scientists from 30 different species worked together. They were developing new medical technologies, better farming techniques, and more efficient space travel methods. Dr. Paul Martinez was the human coordinator for the station. He was a quiet man who preferred working in laboratories to dealing with politics. When the alarm systems detected the approaching Shadow Dominion fleet, he felt scared but not surprised. Dr. Martinez called his assistant, Lisa Park, a young engineer who had been working with crystal-based computer systems. "We're detecting a massive war fleet heading our way. Over 200 ships." Paul sighed and activated the stations. "Communication system. All personnel, this is Dr. Martinez. We have hostile ships approaching. Begin emergency evacuation procedures for all non-essential staff." But something unexpected happened. The alien scientists and engineers on the station refused to leave. "We're not running," declared Dr. Zephyr, a former Talon Republic warrior who now studied medicine. "This station represents everything we've built together. We won't abandon it." Captain Oros, whose crystal body now glowed with determination, stepped forward. "My people spent centuries fighting over resources. Now we're creating new resources from nothing. This work is too important to stop." Even former Void Hunter Captain Razor, who was now designing better life support systems, joined the group. "The Shadow Dominion thinks they can scare us back to the old ways. They're wrong." Dr. Martinez looked around at the faces surrounding him. Warriors who had become healers, raiders who had become builders, enemies who had become friends. "All right," he said quietly. "If we're staying, we might as well keep working. Lisa, send a message to the Shadow Dominion fleet. Tell them we'd like to discuss what problems they're trying to solve." Supreme Commander Void received the message as his fleet entered attack formation. He had expected pleas for mercy or desperate attempts at negotiation. Instead, the humans were offering to help solve his problems. "They mock us," snarled Admiral Dark. "They think their peaceful words can stop our weapons." But Supreme Commander Void was studying the intelligence reports about what had happened to other species who had attacked human colonies. The Void Hunters were now more prosperous than they had ever been. The Iron Collective's technology was more advanced than before. Even the proud Talon Republic had found honor in saving lives instead of taking them. "What if," Void said slowly, "they're not mocking us? What if they really can solve our problems?" The Shadow Dominion's greatest secret was that their empire was dying. Their worlds were overcrowded and polluted. Their people were hungry and sick. They had maintained power through fear and military might, but they couldn't fight starvation and disease with weapons. Against his better judgment, Supreme Commander Void ordered his fleet to hold position. He sent a small shuttle to the research station, expecting a trap but hoping for something else. Dr. Martinez met the Shadow Dominion delegation in the station's main conference room. The walls were covered with charts showing the progress of various construction projects across the galaxy. Supreme Commander Void Dr. Martinez said calmly. Thank you for coming. We understand your empire is facing some challenges. Maybe we can help. We came here to destroy you, Void replied, his voice like grinding metal. I know, Dr. Martinez nodded. But destroying us won't fix your problems. It will just give you temporary satisfaction while your people continue to suffer. Over the next several hours, the Shadow Dominion learned about resource recycling, population management, and sustainable development. They discovered that other species had faced similar problems and found solutions through cooperation instead of conquest. You're asking us to abandon everything we are, Admiral Dark protested. No, said Dr. Martinez. We're asking you to become more than you are. Keep your strength, keep your discipline, keep your organizational skills. Just point them at different targets. Lisa Park pulled up holographic displays showing Shadow Dominion worlds transformed into garden planets, their people healthy and prosperous, their fleets converted into exploration and construction vessels. Imagine, she said, if your people were known not as conquerors, but as the greatest builders in the galaxy, the species that could turn dead worlds into paradise. Supreme Commander Void stared at the images for a long time. In his long life of warfare, he had never seen anything so beautiful as the possibility of his people being truly happy. 3 months later, Ambassador Krell stood in the observation deck of what had once been the Galactic Council's military headquarters. Now it was the headquarters of the Galactic Cooperation Initiative. Through the massive windows, he could see construction ships from dozens of species working together to build a new type of space. STATION Dr. Kevin Johnson joined him at the window. The human linguist had become the unofficial ambassador between humanity and the rest of the galaxy. Your species didn't conquer us, Krell said thoughtfully. You liberated us. From what? Kevin asked. From the idea that we had no choice. For thousands of years, we believed that conflict was inevitable. That war was the only way to solve problems. You showed us that we were wrong. Kevin smiled as he watched a former Shadow Dominion battleship, now converted into a mobile hospital, dock with the station. We learned the same thing a long time ago. The universe has plenty of real challenges without creating artificial ones. What happens now? Krell asked. Now we keep building, Kevin replied. There are still diseases to cure, worlds to explore, problems to solve. The difference is that now we're all working together instead of against each other. In the distance, a fleet of exploration ships prepared to leave for uncharted regions of space. They carried crews from 20 different species, united not by conquest, but by curiosity. They were going to explore, to discover, to build something new. The galaxy had learned that humans didn't fight wars, not because they were weak, but because they had found something better than victory. They had found purpose. And for the first time in galactic history, the future looked brighter than the past.